Folks, what's up? This is Michael in the very wee hours of the night on the graveyard shift, the good old graveyard shift, with your daily trivia question once again. It's good to be back. I had a night off. I recharged my batteries a little bit. Was like wide open anyways in the middle of the night. Couldn't sleep. You know, if you work as much as I do on third shift, then that's what happens when you have a night off. But anyways, it's good to be back. And happy Thursday. By the by, we're getting ready to wrap this week up. So the answer to the previous trivia question was, of course, none other than the mailbox. The good old mailbox, a great piece of American history and so fun to research. So collection boxes on street corners for postal service purposes actually goes back to the 1600s around the Paris, France area, in that part of the world. So in early 1800s of the United States, as our country's postal system, really an overall government in and of itself was coming into being and was being established, recipients had to distribute and receive their mail from a post office. So fast forward a little bit to like the 1850s, around this area, mail system really opened up when mail was delivered to homes at no charge within city limits. People no longer needed to go to the post office to deposit their letters. Instead, they could keep stamps at home and mail the letters at their leisure. What a novel idea, what a concept. This meant, of course, that there was a need for mailboxes. Lo and behold. So the credit for patenting the first letter box officially sanctioned by the Post Office Department goes to a Philadelphia iron products manufacturer named Albert Potts. His design incorporated the lamp posts that his company coincidentally also made. Of course, because that's what you do. With the letter box built into it. He received a patent for this design in March of 1858, and on August 2nd of that same year, these lamppost mailboxes began appearing on the streets of Boston and New York City for the very first time. That was the focus of the trivia question. They were known as the Potts Lamppost Mailbox. Say that 3 times real quick. Pretty neat design. Pretty cool invention. Carving out your own niche. That's what I call that. So although it was the very first of its kind to meet a very important need in the United States, it was not very popular and it was short-lived. The receptacle area of the mailbox turned out to be just too small. Of course, it was built into a thin lamppost. I mean, what did you expect? And it required frequent emptying as a result. This was a task that postal carriers simply couldn't keep up with as a result of their very busy city routes. It didn't take long for everyone to figure out that in order to eliminate the constant need for collections, that a larger box was obviously going to be required. And from that point on, really, as my research indicated, patents, new mailbox gadgets, new inventions, different versions, all of these exploded onto the scene. Suddenly everyone was coming up with an improved version that had slots, drop-off receptacles, ones that could be mounted onto the walls of buildings, and eventually this concept made it into the individual homes. Okay, so by 1863, Congress approved free home mail delivery, which included a knock at the door and carrier to recipient delivery. So within a year, 65 cities had home delivery, and it kind of expanded and went from there. And then mail started getting lost, and all the workers started getting disgruntled. And the rest is history, as I like to say. But that's kind of some history of the mailbox and how it kind of incorporated its way into homes and home delivery, all from these street lampposts and the mailboxes that were built into them, this real small receptacle container. So a couple of cool geek factoids. In order to qualify for free home delivery, there was a minimum population requirement, and the respective city had to provide sidewalks and crosswalks and ensure that streets were named and lit and assign numbers to houses. And I thought that was a cool geek factoid as it related to mailboxes and free home delivery, because it's a perfect example of how like one piece of history resonates with another piece of history. You have an origin of something like the mailbox and its history and how that works its way into providing sidewalks and crosswalks and street names and street numbers and so forth. That's a pretty cool geek factoid and significant point. The traditional blue American mailbox design came into being around the turn of the century, and it was heavily influenced by the coming of the automobile. Suddenly, around the turn of the century, with companies like Ford and so forth, everybody had a car, and so they needed something convenient, of course, a convenient way to drop their mail off. The chute, I thought this was cool. The chute or extended opening of the mailbox is called a snorkel. I just thought that was cool. I don't know why it's called a snorkel, but it is referred to in the professional occupation of postal services as a snorkel. So keep that in mind every time you're dropping off a piece of mail. That's the history of the mailbox, folks. It's really cool to research stuff like that. I would like to know if these street lamps with a built-in mailbox, one of these old POTS, lamppost mailbox, still exists out there. I didn't find anything like that in my research when I was researching this, but what a cool piece of history that would be to find one of these and to kind of renovate it and stick it in your own front yard. That would be awesome. All right, folks, here we go. Brand new day, brand new trivia question for August 4th on this day in 1914. Folks, this is a really good trivia question. Listen to this very carefully. Go back to your high school history class if you can remember this. Check this out. On this day in 1914, as tensions grew, an eventual war erupts in Europe. President Woodrow Wilson proclaims this concept as the formal position of the United States, hoping that America could be impartial in thought as well as action. Have a good day, folks. See you guys later. Thanks for all you do. Peace out.